am thrilled to welcome Dr. Antoinette Hays, President of Regis College, where she has served in this role for the past 14 years. Before becoming president, she was Dean of the School of Nursing. Dr. Hays holds a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Boston College, a Master's in Geriatric Nursing from Boston University, and a PhD in Health Policy and Aging from Brandeis University. We are so grateful you've taken time out of your busy schedule to join us at the table. Welcome, Dr. Hays.
Well, it's so wonderful to be here, Martina, and you can call me Tony.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, Tony, so we're going to start right from the very beginning for you, and I'm going to take you back to those BC days and the heights, and what inspired you to be a nurse?
Well, that's a really great question. I had an older sister who was a nurse, a much older sister, actually, and she had always been my inspiration. And I actually witnessed some healthcare issues in my family, and particularly my father. And so that just was my inspiration to want nursing. And I chose Boston College because that's where my older sister went. And when I was beginning to think about where I should go to nursing school, my father insisted that I go to a baccalaureate program at the time. So I didn't really have much choice, and BC was a great option, and I also was able to live at home. So it was a perfect fit for me. And we were relatively new at Boston College at the time for accepting women, even though they always had women in nursing at BC. However, it wasn't until the year I started that they welcomed all women to the college. So it was a transition time for me at BC, and that's why most of us had to live remotely, because we weren't able to, they didn't even have dormitories for women on the campus. But it was a great, great school. I had a great education, and I was mentored by amazing professors when I was there as a student.
Okay, and great that you had your sister, that role model as well as the mentors.
It was really wonderful.
Okay.
Yes.
And then how, take us through then, I know you did some community nursing working for, I think, Boston VNA. So then how, did the nursing path then lead you into roles in leadership and higher ed?
Well, I think, honestly, because I chose the field of geriatrics, I was rather unusual. When I graduated from Boston College, I think I was the only one graduating that made the choice to work in the field of geriatrics, long-term care, and rehab. Most people wanted to go into the hospital-based care, into pediatrics, maternity. That was the most popular. But I had fallen in love with working in the geriatric field because during nursing school, I worked as a nurse's aide in a nursing home. And that's what inspired me to want to continue to focus my practice in the world of geriatrics. As a result, I had more opportunities for leadership at a very young age. Very few of us had bachelor's degrees working in that field, and I was just taken by the inspiration I received also from the patients. I also felt when I graduated from nursing school that the use of all my skills was going to be best served in long-term care, because we're oftentimes the only nurse on the floor. We have multiple complex medical problems, medical challenges, pharmaceuticals, the number of medications patients were on, and it really utilized all my skills. It wasn't long, however, after I graduated from nursing school that I realized I needed more education, and that's when I started at Boston University and started the geriatric nurse practitioner program. Again, I was probably the only nurse in that program at the time that already had a bachelor's degree. These are things that led me to having incredible leadership opportunities. After I graduated with my master's degree, I was invited to go to the Visiting Nurse Association of Boston to become their first nurse practitioner in the field. And that opened doors for me at the School of Medicine. So it was that kind of a thing that I had chosen a field that had many more opportunities, probably less competition. That's what it was, less competition. And I chose a field that the sky was the limit. The opportunities were there. So I took on those opportunities. It wasn't long after I had a year working for the Boston Visiting Nurse when I was invited to come on the faculty. I was only, like, say, 25 years old, and I was on the faculty at BU, both in the School of Nursing and the medical school. And so I was involved in teaching graduate nursing students as well as medical students. And that was a true gift to me in entering the field of academia. I always loved practice, but then I became very, very, very excited about teaching and the future of other health professionals. So while I loved caring for patients myself, being able to influence how others might care for older adults was as exciting for me, and to have that type of influence and impact on younger students was very, very exciting for me.
So really that nursing degree really set the foundation for everything that has come after.
Absolutely. And as a student at Boston College, we were told that we were expected to be leaders. So there was a great deal of emphasis on leadership, on taking risks. At that time, nurses were pretty much following orders all the time, and we were taught to ask questions about those orders. So it was really, that's what I'd say my foundation was, really to truly socially and professionally push my limits and be take the opportunities that come in front of me.
Great, great. So then I'll take you then, I mean, you're so passionate about the field of nursing and higher ed. So then you end up then the dean of the nursing school at Regis. So talk to us a little bit about that and how, I mean, that really expanded their nursing program under your tenure.
Well, I did, but there's a little bit of a caveat in between.
Okay.
When I was teaching at BU and teaching at the medical center and at the nursing school, I got married and had a baby. And that sort of changed my trajectory a bit. And while I continued to work full time, I found it more and more difficult. So I made the decision to resign my position at BU and went into some consulting. So I started consulting for hospitals in the world of geriatrics, helping hospitals look at ways in which they could better care the older adults in the hospitals, because they oftentimes developed many, many complications. But I was beginning to miss teaching, and a friend of mine reached out to me and said, they're starting a nursing program at Regis College. And by the way, I was living right up the street. So I said, oh, that would be interesting. I really miss teaching. So I applied to teach part-time. And that's how it began at Regis.
Oh, okay.
And the nursing program was relatively new. And because I had been, most of my career had been teaching the graduate students, that was a perfect fit for me, because we were teaching the older nursing students as well to earn bachelor's degrees. Within a couple of years, my boss said, would you help me start a master's program at Regis? And that was most of my education and most of my teaching. So I said, sure. So I started developing the graduate programs here at Regis. And then when my predecessor in the nursing leadership was retiring, she asked if I'd be interested in taking on the leadership. And I thought a lot about it and made the decision, yes, to do that. And as a result of that, I really was excited to continue to build the program. Now, in the meantime, I don't think I told you that in the meantime, I was in my PhD program at Brandeis. So while I was teaching at Regis part-time, I was also getting my doctorate. At the time my predecessor in nursing was retiring, I had completed my PhD program, so I was an appropriate candidate for that position. And I did. I took on the position and enjoyed very much, as I said, building. It excited me, and the more students that we could serve, the happier I became. And also mentoring new faculty was something I enjoyed very much. and I very much enjoyed working with students. So when I began to teach and work as the dean, I built out more of the graduate programs, and that was the time when we launched the undergraduate nursing major.
Okay.
The college had not had an undergraduate major. Nursing had only been at the graduate level up until that time, and that was at about 2002. And then in 2007, the college went co-ed. I launched the doctoral program, and at that time is when the college made the decision to establish the School of Nursing. And then, although I had already been the director, I was the inaugural dean of the new School of Nursing.
Oh, well done. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. And I suppose then you were coming in at looking, you had a unique lens as well coming in. You know, you had done for the development of the programs, you had done the hands-on nursing's care.
Yes, that's exactly right. And I, as I said, always loved practice. And up until I became the dean, I still had a day or two where I practiced because I felt it was important to continue to give hands-on care as a teacher. But that was not possible once I became the dean. And so while that was a difficult thing for me to give up, my students became my patients.
Yes. Oh, that's yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. And I know
And I enjoyed very much. It's still making a difference.
Yes.
It's still, affecting the future health care of older adults, no matter what.
Oh,
And
sure.
that's what excited me and also inspired me, continued to inspire me. Now, when the president of the college was making the decision to retire, which was in 2011, that was not on my radar, Martina. I had not thought that that would be part of my future. I was beginning to get itchy, looking for new challenges, but I loved what I did. I loved Regis. I loved the mission, and I loved the overall community that Regis is. But it was interesting, and I got people people were asking me to consider throwing my hat in the ring. And I truly took a while to make that decision. And I did a lot of self-evaluation, discernment before I made that decision. And I did. And I threw my hat in the ring, and the rest is history. But it was a national search. And all I wanted all throughout the process was what was going to be best for Regis. And that was my whole way of thinking about it. It wasn't whether it's me or someone else, but what was best for the college. And I got the call that I was selected, and I have to tell you, it's been the best job I've ever had in my life.
Tony, I know one of the programs that you're extremely proud of when you were Dean of the Nursing School was the Regis Nursing Program in Haiti. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, thank you so much for asking me about that. I should have highlighted that myself. I take so much for granted now, but it is something I'm extremely proud of. And I met Paul Farmer back in 2007. And he was, his counterpart was receiving an honorary degree at Regis, Ophelia Dahl. And I got to meet with them, and I sat with them for a while, and I had just read the book, Mountains Beyond Mountains. And as a result, I was even more curious about how could Regis get involved, and I asked how could we help. And it wasn't long after that that Paul had me on an airplane with one of his accompaniers to visit Haiti, and he set up meetings for me to talk with the leadership of nursing education throughout the country of Haiti. What was loud and clear was that the nurses in Haiti, the nursing leadership in Haiti, wanted to build the bachelor's program in nursing. But they didn't have educated faculty. In other words, their faculty weren't master's prepared. Most of them were diploma or associate degree prepared. And so in order for them to launch bachelor's programs, they had to educate and upgrade the education of the faculty. So I said, we can do that. Then I got into the van and said, oh my God, I can't believe I just promised something. I can't not do it now. And so I spent a couple of years raising the money to do it and kept in touch with my friends in Haiti. The earthquake happened. After that, we were able to get some funding through individuals, the Kellogg Foundation, and the Clinton Bush Foundation. And we were able to launch the program, and we brought the nurses here, and my faculty went and taught classes in Haiti. And my faculty did it all as volunteers.
Oh, wow.
Again, this was all consistent with our mission. We needed the funding to support travel and other expenses related to the students' needs. And so that's really how it happened. We educated over 36 nurses, and they're all nursing faculty selected by the Ministry of Health. And they were able to launch the bachelor's program, and have educated over 2,000 baccalaureate students in Haiti. The hard part now is we continue to have a relationship with them, and we're working to help them build out a doctoral program now as well. It all has to be remote, and I'm fortunate that I have some of our colleagues who live in Haiti who are able to be present and be part of things in person. But most of our work now has to be remote. And it's breaking our hearts to see what's happening to our colleagues in Haiti.
And that's, I presume, because of the unrest that's going on at the moment.
One of the hospitals that we worked in had to be closed.
Oh,
and so, it's very, very hard to watch, but we're staying in touch with our friends and our colleagues there to support them. And the new head of nursing for the Ministry of Health is one of our graduates.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can see the fruits of your work right there, Tony,
Yeah.
so congratulations.
Thank you. And I feel very fortunate. I was invited to be on the board of Partners in Health now,
Yeah.
Paul's board. And as a result, it helps me to stay connected. And that's something I hope to continue to do after I retire as well.
It's, higher ed is challenging at the moment. So I guess what are some of the challenges, you have come across, and also, what are some of your proudest moments since you took on the road 14 years ago?
I have to tell you that because we had already established such a strong reputation in graduate education, as a president, it was important that we continue to build on that. We were also looking ahead and seeing that the demographics were going to affect schools like Regis, or everybody.
Mm-hmm.
No school would be not affected by that. So we continue to grow the graduate programs and the strength of graduate education here, while continuing to sustain the mission of our undergraduate college. Now, Regis has always been a college that created access for young people who might not have had the opportunity for a private school education. So we give lots of scholarship monies. Now, that was something I was very proud of, and to be able to continue to do that, because our undergrad students are so special and they're so talented. And to see them grow and develop is amazing. I also decided that we needed to start to look at other ways to grow, and then look at what was happening with the online world. The issue is that when we hit, I think it was like 14, 15, that cliff was starting to become more and more obvious to us in terms of demographics, the number of kids that were going to be coming to undergraduate school, which just made it all the more important for us to find ways where we could grow more, and also new business lines.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when we looked into developing online education. And that, to me, was it was a little bit scary. It was a risk, but we studied it very carefully, and over the course of 18 months, we worked on developing the systems that we needed, developing partnerships that we needed, and launched in 2017, we launched the online graduate programs. And that was our biggest boost to our graduation rates, as well as our overall numbers. It also helped the graduate program really see opportunities that we hadn't seen before. We always were very happy about our undergraduate and graduate programs that were predominantly for local people living in the Massachusetts area, and a few that would come from outside of Massachusetts. But this opened the doors for people across the country to be able to access a Regis education.
Right.
And we were also able to continue to show that our mission is alive and well, even amongst our graduate students. One of the things that really inspired me after we got that program up and running was how and why So when I visit alums in other parts of the country now, and I visit them to talk to them about Regis and keep them informed about the college, I would ask our online students if they were coming because we would often invite them to times or places where I might be in Texas, California, Washington, D.C., New York City, and we would invite our online students to attend any events that I would host. And so when I would meet them, first of all, they would be very excited to meet the president in person because they're all online students. But it was exciting for me too. And I would always ask the question, why Regis when you have so many other online options? And the first thing they would say is your mission.
So
The
maybe
mission drew them to Regis. And that was truly inspirational. And it made me so excited to be able to tell people back on the campus how the mission relates to people all over the country. And so that was one of my greatest accomplishments. I feel that while offering online education around the country, and in fact we have some students that are in other parts of the world, they resonate with our mission.
Yeah. And actually, talking about the mission, Tony, when I was doing my research for today, that was one of the things I was really struck by. And I want to read you that just the last paragraph of your mission. It just really resonated with me. We educate the whole person, preparing our students to pursue excellence, to become change agents in their own communities, and to serve and lead as advocates for a more just and compassionate global society. And at Manaw, that's one of the things we say to all the great Manawsome ladies that attend our events, come as your whole authentic self. So, I mean, maybe talk to me a little bit, maybe we'll tease out that a little bit more. How do you support the students, not alone, academically, but socially and emotionally?
Well, I have to tell you that the mission is in the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And I will also say, though, that in the past, we always had some sisters on campus. And as the numbers of religious have declined, we've had fewer and fewer sisters on our campus, which made it important for us to embrace the mission as the lay leadership and make sure that we articulate it well. Mm-hmm. So in articulating it, we began to really study it more and how does it impact our life and our world. And I believe it's in the mission statement, but what's very, very central to the mission is to love the dear neighbor and serve the dear neighbor without distinction. And that has been part of the essence of this institution from the very beginning. So for us, it's making sure that everybody who comes to Regis feels like they belong. We work very, very hard to make sure that people can be their whole self because we're making sure that they can belong and that they know that they are loved and they will be cared for no matter what their race, color, creed, or gender is. And so the fact is, and also students who may have alternate identities. Mm-hmm. Those are also something that we pay attention to and want to be sure that we support those students. So I think that's how we live the mission. It's to support and welcome all without distinction. And I believe we live and breathe that every single day. And that allows people to be authentic.
Right. And I think now more than ever, people are with social media trying to fit into this box. So, I mean, it's great that Regis is that safe place for everyone and that they can really focus on their studies.
That's right. And, I have to say that also comes from being a nurse and other professionals because we care for everybody. I cared for people that murdered. Right. I cared for people that were abusers, but they needed my care too. Now, did I not appreciate what they did? No, I was certainly disturbed by whatever they did. But the reality is they still were human beings and needed care. And I cared for people across all socioeconomic levels. I cared for people of all races and all religions. And so that's really how we are educated in the health professions anyway. So it becomes and was and is very natural for
Right.
the
I think,
culture of the
right.
institute.
And I think sometimes too, people just want to be seen for who they are.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic, Tony. So, Tony, I want to talk to you a little bit about, women in leadership. And, one of the genesis for Manaw at the table was to give women a voice and that they are heard and that they have that seat at the table. So what do you say to, young women that are listening today and who are stepping into leadership roles, maybe particularly in healthcare or higher ed? What advice would you give them?
Well, first I will tell you, Regis was an all-women's college back in the day. We went co-ed in 2007. And as a result, many of our alums were distressed about losing the all-women's environment, particularly because of the nature of being empowered because you're in an all-women's environment. So then I would say to them when I was in meetings with alums and on the road, I would say, I know that you're concerned that the students coming to Regis now might not get the same experience to be empowered. But right now, we are educating and empowering young men in an environment where women are empowered. So most of them will be working for a woman, and they'll better get used to it.
Okay.
So,
I
so
love it.
that's part of what I can say is most of the women who are going to watch this are the ones that are going to be leading, and I also say lead with your heart.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. Let your heart lead the way in many ways, and it will help you guide the intellectual side of decisions that you make.
Yeah, I think women too have good emotional
Intelligence.
intelligence, which is really, really important. So maybe just to, Regis is co-ed. So for I guess young boys, young students, how can they better support their sister or their female friend?
Well, that's what I believe they learn here at
Yes.
Regis.
Yes.
Again, they are being empowered,
Good.
but
Okay.
in an environment where women are empowered.
Yes.
So most of the leadership here are women, and the young women here at the college are still predominant. And while they share leadership roles, many of the leadership within the student body are also women, and the men also are leaders, but they frequently defer to the women. So I think that just being in an environment where women feel strength, feel support, and see a lot of role models, and the men see the role models in strong women, that's where we need to begin. And so I think the environment itself is very supportive. That's what I would say is the more that we empower women and support women to be successful, that's what's going to help change things. And men, I had men that were mentors. I had men that were mentors. I had women who were mentors. So I think that we can't forget that both sides can be of support to support the success in women as well.
No, I agree. I mean, it's not a them and us. We all need to be in this together. Uh, so so looking ahead, Tony, what excites you the most about the future of Regis?
Oh my. Well, first of all, I think we're set up to navigate the challenges of the current environment.
Yes.
Again, because of our strength in our strength in healthcare, but also our strength in graduate programs. That should continue to help give us strength. But what my hope and dream is that Regis will continue to carry the legacy of the Sisters of St. Joseph, who founded Regis, who is why we have the mission we have, and continue to be able to thrive and serve the neighbor without distinction.
Right.
And I'm looking to pass the baton to somebody who will be inspired by the vision as well and be inspired by the mission as well.
Excellent. And you talk about passing the baton, and I know you'll be stepping down. I believe next year, 2026?
Let's see, June of 26.
Oh, June of 2026. So what's next for Tony?
Well, I've actually, everyone asks me that question, and I will say that right now, my focus is on making sure that I do the best that I can do for the rest of my time as president. I'm still the president. I will be the president till I walk across that threshold. But I will say to you, I have the opportunity, I'm very fortunate, I will have the opportunity for a sabbatical at the end. And at that time is when I want to do the soul searching and the discernment to decide what's my next journey. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not already thinking about it, but what I really am focused on is what still needs to happen now and enjoy the next 10 months of my time with this institution and enjoy the next 10 months with the people that I care about so much, the students, the faculty, the staff, and my team. So that's where I'm at the moment. I'm not putting a lot of energy into what's next. It's more what now and what should I be doing to make sure I get to the end of this pathway.
Okay. And I know people always ask too, I mean, what will your legacy be?
Oh my.
I know. That's probably a loaded question, right?
Probably growth. Probably
Growth.
growth.
Yeah.
Probably growth. And I hope compassion.
Yes, and we need that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's a nice ending, compassion. Yes, we need lots of compassion. Tony, thank you so much for sharing your insights, your journey, and your deep commitment to education and healthcare leadership. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you so much, Martina. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and I hope it inspires others.